All right, continuing on with the how-to series on Bitcoin. This short episode is on how to buy, but it's a better word is probably acquire, because you don't necessarily have to buy it. Being a peer-to-peer network, we could just pass it to each other for services or generosity if we felt like. So quick article on here. So before you talk about actually buying Bitcoin or actually buying Bitcoin, you really need to know how you're going to store it, unless you're just going to immediately transact with it. And even if that's the case, you still need some type of wallet. So there's basically 5 main types of BTC wallets. You got desktop, mobile, online, hardware, and paper wallet. Some of these are more common than the other. Wallets do not technically store your Bitcoin. They store the private keys that actually connect to the Bitcoin, which allows you to assess it on its blockchain. So the digital keys are required to sign transactions, and if a user loses them, they essentially lose access to the Bitcoin. There's tons of stories out there of poor individuals losing either their private keys or losing their actual hardware wallet, which is generally like a type of USB or something you can plug into your computer. And so there's currently millions of Bitcoin that are lost because of individuals losing their private keys. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about private keys, but a high recommendation for people who are going to hold their own Bitcoin in a wallet is to take your private keys and either etch them or inscribe them on something that's durable, that you can keep safe somewhere you're not going to lose. Some people use, plates of metal, some just paper. Obviously the more durable, the better. So moving on, you got desktop wallets that's just kept on a computer.
She said my name.
You've got mobile wallets, which is obviously your mobile phone. So you can keep a mobile wallet for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on your actual phone. And you've got online wallets, which are probably more common, I think, or at least in my world. And that's just a web-based wallet where your private keys are stored on an online server, an extension controlled by someone else, and connected to the internet. So you have to be careful with those hot wallets, as we know, but they're a very convenient source to transfer Bitcoin in and out of. And actually, you can hold it in there. Just don't give away your private keys, no matter what anybody says. I got a note over here to the side. Don't get talked into it. Listen to what I'm telling you. I'm speaking from experience. Don't give them your private keys. By the way, when I'm talking about private keys, that is it's generally a 12 to 24 word passphrase that's generated when you create your wallet. And those are what you keep secret. There's a number and digit code that you also get that's your public key. And that's what you use to transact with back and forth.
Yeah, boy.
Paper wallets, I'm not even really sure what that is, but it sounds too dangerous for me. Another option is to store your Bitcoin, to acquire it and then store it on a multi-sig wallet, which requires confirmation from multiple sources to move or access your funds. Some entities also offer Bitcoin custody services. So I'm going to show a couple different companies here in just a minute that are the most popular as far as the multi-sig wallets. So now let's move on to actually buying the Bitcoin. You want to use an exchange, or for the most part, you need to use an exchange to do this. And there's centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. I'm going to show you. Well, why don't we just take a look at them now? So here's a whole infographic of all sorts of different exchanges by the different continents. Some of these more popular than others. Probably heard of Coinbase. Obviously, you got Binance. We like to use a smaller one called MEXC that has a lot of availability. I also use Coinbase. So there's a ton of exchanges. Just like the wallets, you got to do your own investigating and figure out what's going to be the best for you, because some of them are more secure than others. Some of them offer different coins than others. And then, of course, transacting fees vary also too. So that's your centralized exchanges. Your decentralized exchanges they're growing in number tremendously, but depending on which exchange you're operating on will affect what availability you have. Ethereum being the biggest one as far as smart contracts. So there's a ton of decentralized exchanges there. I'm not, maybe you can speak to them a little bit better than me, Ben. I've used them probably less than 10 times, and I always kind of have a little bit of a hard time, but I've only ever used Ethereum. Solana seems to be a little bit easier from what I've heard. Have you used decentralized quite a bit, or?
Yeah, I used them, especially with the new coins back when I was trying to get in on the new meme coins. And Ethereum is a little bit harder. And of course, back then it also had a little bit higher fees to do it. And man, once I started using some of the decentralized exchanges in the Phantom wallet with Solana, so quick, so fast, so easy, so cheap. You could get I remember that's when I thought, dang, I really need to buy some more Solana. I mean, I like Ethereum, but Solana's got a quick one, and it makes it really easy, especially through something like the Phantom wallet.
Yeah. I've heard you say that so many times. And you got decentralized exchanges, centralized exchanges, and then deciding on a payment option. I'm not going to go in depth in this. We'll include this article, but you can credit card, you can do wire transfer. There's PayPal. There's a pretty much infinite amount of ways you can do it. Different exchanges. Not all exchanges accept all those types. So depending on if you're wanting to pay by PayPal, you may only have, a certain amount of exchanges that allow you to do that. So before I forget, let me show you kind of an info of the most popular hot wallets here. There's that Phantom wallet, MetaMask. I think we both got that. I even have a Coinbase. Crypto.com, one of your favorites.
Yep. So I've got MetaMask, Coinbase, Trust Wallet, Phantom, and Crypto.com.
And then for hard wallets, there's a ton of different hard wallets. We even did a video a long time ago where one of them was Game Boys, the old school Game Boys that were being turned into hardware wallets. But Ledger, I'm drawing a brain. Tether, no, not Tether. What's the other common one? Gosh, I have it too. Anyways, they're basically the hard wallets are like your USB type plug-in, and they're much safer than the hot wallets. But again, you have to be careful. Moving on, buying Bitcoin. You can even do it through Bitcoin ATMs. These are showing up all over the place. They are pretty dang expensive, but that is an option too. You'll see them in random
Bitcoin
gas stations.
ATM at the closest convenience store to my house.
Yeah,
there's a Bitcoin ATM in there.
It like randomly shows up. I don't know if maybe some of the smaller mom and pop stores
I think that's really where they're at. They're you don't see them in the quick trips, but you do see them in the little quick 7-Elevens and the ones that are privately owned for sure.
I've been in rural parts of Kansas and had to stop and get gas, and there's been a Bitcoin ATM machine. So the first one I ever saw was actually in rural Kansas. Wrapping this up, obviously there's a lot of theft that goes on with cryptocurrencies. So be careful when you're purchasing it. Obviously, there's tax implications and so much, and stuff like that. So be aware of what you're getting into. If you're not selling it, you're just buying it, holding it. It's a lot easier, but just be careful. Speaking from example here. And again, we'll include this article. I'm just kind of hitting the highlights on it, but that's some of your more popular stuff. One thing I kind of glossed over was the multiple sig or the collaborative custody. This is becoming more and more popular where you have to have either 2 out of 3 signatures to transfer Bitcoin. Some of them are even 3 out of 5 now. But it makes it to where you don't have a single failure point. It's a multiple failure point, right? Like, so if you lose it, then if you lose one of your passphrase or one of your
seed phrases,
you have 2 others that can then help. So for example, you might have, me and Ben, if we had a wallet or whatever, we could open up with one of these major companies, Swan or Casa here or Unchained. They would hold one of the passphrases. Ben would hold it and I would hold it. So then you need 2 out of 3. So if I go and lose mine, Ben can still access it with his and Unchained. So a lot of families are creating, funds that way and using a multiple sig. There is a little bit of added cost there, but security wise, it's it's pretty awesome. This is something I've been looking into more and more. Another one that's not on here is River. So anyways, just kind of wrapping this up. It got a little long. So what you need to know to acquire Bitcoin for the most part is you got to get on an exchange. You got to put funds on it. You can purchase it there. You don't want to keep it on the exchange. If it's on the exchange, you don't own it. So you want to get it off the exchange and get it into a wallet. You could put it into a hot wallet, but there's still some risk there, but there's convenience. You want to get it into either a cold wallet or some type of company, maybe like this, a collaborative custody or a multi-sig wallet, so that it's detached from the internet. You actually have to plug it into your computer to access it as a cold wallet. So once you have that, then you can spend that money however you want, but that's acquiring it. The other main option is if you send it from wallet to wallet, like if I just send Ben Bitcoin directly, obviously he's not buying it. I'm just sending it over to him.
And feel free to.